structure. All right, guys. Should be live here in just a little bit. Take it just a second. We'll be ready to rock and roll. Hope everybody's having a good day today. Got a long weekend ahead of us and a day off of trading, which should be nice. But let's go over what we called. Let's talk about NAS. We had, some massive news come out in video with just, a massive pump that has thrown it up to 14,332. But if you go back and look at our NAS markup, we had this dot here as a zone for a break. So we said if we could break above this 13,719, we're going to push up. And you typically push up to another dot, which our other dot is right there. So for argument's sake, let's throw that there. And let's zoom in and look to see what this looks like. And you can see that this was our daily support level that we were going to bounce off of. So we said if we can push up, got our gray box up here, break it, and get below it on the daily, and close the daily below it, we could push down below this zone. This was the zone we were going to push to, and it did just that. When it finally broke, it pushed down to that zone, and then it came up and rejected. So nice little trade there. As you can see, we're able to catch some pips from it. But when we take this down to the 30-minute, I want you to look at that zone on what happened. Exactly where that daily zone was is where we jumped and shot off. Now, if you were looking for buys, obviously you had a nice 30-minute rejection down here on the bottom on a wick fill. So this is a very small wick fill. Zoom in on it just for a second here. And that way you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you had basically a solid 2 hours to determine if you want to take this trade. And this was what I was trading last week. If you were live streaming with me, you noticed that we took buys right out of this wick fill zone and our stop loss was minimal. So your stop loss is roughly right in this area here. So, you can see that the risk on this trade is next to nothing. And look at the move you caught. Add up the pips on that bad boy, you're paying some major bills on that one. So, love this trade. This turned out great. But let's say you didn't get into this 30-minute rejection because you don't like playing rejections and you want to do a trend line break. What's cool is we have a trend line because we have a dot. So, we have an anchor point. So, we can take this anchor point and we can just do something like this. And it gives us, when we zoom in on it, it gives us a break, a retest of that area, and it shot off. So even if you didn't take the wick fill, you got a trend line break to take that trade. Here's where it really gets special. Remember what I told you guys about a 3-dot setup. If you get 3 dots, it's a solid trade. So let's see where we can get 3 dots from on a setup that would allow us to use that as a anchor point. And let's see here, go back for a bit, see what I can find. Nope, not 3 dots there. And let's see here. I wonder if that would turn out to be the same thing. This is the stuff I like to do on live streams to see, right there's you've got a few touches there, put in like this. You got a few touches, bam, bam, bam. It rejected right on that trend line. So let's see if that would be a valid trend line for us to use. And you never know. This is the stuff I like playing with on the dots, especially on the live stream. It's a lot of fun. We'll get from there and let's throw it up there. And wow, would you look at that? Zoom on that bad boy. And 1-2 touch. Break, retest, just like that. So it shows how good I actually move closer on the dot. I'm not exactly on the dot, so there we go, right there. We're on the dot now. So look how beautiful that is. Break, retest, and obviously shot off. And this was a trend line I just randomly pulled from another dot that looked good with a 3-dot setup, as well as having the rejection point at the end of it where it rejects. If it rejects, that's only a retest. So again, the dots win this trade. So NAS turned out to look great. Go back over here now and let's look at US 30. As we know, US 30 is the big deal. So the markup that we had on Friday, which is this setup here, we were looking at this on the 4-hour. And we said, here's our zones that we wanted to break for up here in this area. We said if we can get a 4-hour candle to close below this, we're falling down. So go back and watch the prior video on Carbon Capital's YouTube channel, the one you're on here, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. And look at that. We got that candle 4-hour break right there. We came down, hit TP1, came down, hit TP2. And then this area through here is where I said we could reject in this area here, or we're going to be looking for whole number rejections. So when I would say whole number rejections, I'm talking about like your 32,750, your 33,000, 33,250, and things like that. So on the 30 minute, it obviously looked great. 4-hour looked great. The 30 minute, I mean, look, another wick fill rejection shot off at 32,750, area of consolidation. So when we look at that area, I mean, just consolidating. If you guys remember, anytime you get that consolidation, you're looking for something that can just push up. And I said, it's 32,750 is where you're taking buys. I was actually on a live stream on Instagram, and someone was like, man, I just need a signal. I got to pay some rent. I said, well, you might as well just click buy on US 30 because we're going up. We're consolidating in this area. It's time to push up. So 32,750, it broke, came back up. And then there's that same zone that we had for our TP2 on Friday. And if we look, we're not too far off from the TP. This would be TP2 from sell. So TP1, TP2, which when you reverse it, it turns into TP1, TP2. So I would be looking to take, more partials at 33,250 into this area. And then you're able to protect those entries down here. And then it's a no risk trade for you to take the setup. And we can look at our other, and this markup too on the daily just looks beautiful. I mean, when you look at those whole number rejections, I mean, look at that. 32,750, it's exactly where those candle bodies are just setting. And we pushed all the way up into those zones. So 32,250 would be a nice area. And as you guys know, anytime you've got those daily candles like this, you want that 50% retracement within this candle body. So if we go pull up the Fibonacci and we just look at it from wick to wick, let's find that 50% mark. And at 50% mark, I mean, falls almost dead on that 33,250 area. So it's going to be a nice area to push back up into. And if we go over here and look at our daily chart setup, weekly chart, daily chart setup, we already know how that turns out because we're going to close the daily above this zone and push up. But on this weekly one, this is that zone that we've been playing in right here. It's that weekly wick fill from back in December. So from December until present, we have been playing in this zone a majority of the time. And I said we need to get a weekly candle to close out of this zone and into this gray box. Now, you can see we're still touching this gray box and we touched this gray box. So with the holiday week, we're not going to have much movement, obviously, going into Sunday and Monday. But Tuesday, we've got red folders. So when the market opens on Tuesday, this is going to be a key area in here. And I'll just do this right here that we're going to be playing in. So the goal is to go back up, maybe touch that, 33,250. And then that'll start our weekly candle, in this area outside this gray box so we can continue the downward motion of trades. Now, yes, I want to push back up as we saw into the whole numbers. So let me get back to my right here. I want to push back up to that 33,250. Close some partials there. I've got my buys. I've got my runners setting up. We also have our sellers up in this area that with the runners. So now we're perfectly hedged that we're winning either way. If the market goes up, we're winning. If the market goes down, we're winning. But on the weekly side of it, if we close that weekly candle inside this little area here, outside of this gray box, we're going to start pushing further down, and that's where that bearish momentum will continue. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Check back in. We'll check back in here on the YouTube probably Sunday night, going into the Monday Asian sessions, and see what we can catch on some of the pairs and have some fun. And outside of that, we'll see y'all next week. Everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy your time.